Welcome to Better Storytelling. This program will show you how to create multi-strand plot lines for your story. Multi-strand plot lines. The best writers work in television. One of their most effective techniques are called multi-strand plot lines. Some stories work fine with a single hero pursuing one goal, but occasionally a story will get boring in the middle, especially if there isn't enough conflict to sustain it. Although the use of a single hero pursuing a single desire is the best way to explore that character fully, the use of multiple plot lines is a great way to explore the story in many ways while increasing conflict at the same time. How to use multiple plot lines. The Empire Strikes Back is a great example of how to use multiple plot lines in a story. There are two main stories in this tale: Luke Skywalker's inner journey of personal discovery as he learns to use the Force, and the outer story of his companions Leia, Han, and Chewie, and the two droids. The second plot line is intertwined with the first one. Both plot lines affect each other. Otherwise, the story would fragment into two separate stories and it would fall apart. The use of multiple plot lines allows the writer to keep the story moving when things begin to slow down. To keep the story alive, the writer simply jumps between storylines at the height of action, so the audience is constantly engaged. So, when using multiple plot lines in your stories, make sure that they affect each other in some way, or make them about the same kind of thing. In a typical sitcom, there may be 3 separate stories all about the same subject. Each story will demonstrate a different aspect of the theme. So here's how it works. Take the 7 steps of classical story structure taught by John Truby in his book, The Anatomy of Story, and apply them to each plot line. Then move through each step one at a time, jumping between the separate storylines. This will create a weave of scenes that will drive the story home with the audience. Look at shows like Lost to get an idea of how this works. Action steps. Take your story and add another plot line or two with these steps. 1. Take your story and look at how you can create separate storylines with different characters. 2. Look at your main story and see how you can develop it into different aspects. How can you tell the same kind of story with different characters and storylines? 3. Detail each of the 7 steps of classical story structure with each plot line. For more information on this, read The Anatomy of Story. 4. Weave the separate storylines into a single story with jump cuts between each storyline. 5. You may want to emphasize one story or one character over the others. 6. How do you separate storylines affect each other? Are the separate storylines about the same kind of thing? Are all the characters pursuing the same goal? 7. At the end of the story, bring everything together. End each plot line one at a time or all at once. So here's what to do now. Examine your story and see if it might benefit with the use of this technique. Not all stories are made better this way. The advantages of using multiple plot lines are increased conflict, jump cuts at the height of each plot line, which will maintain interest, and more ways to examine the story problem. However, if you want to explore a single character in more depth, then you may want to hold off on using this technique. I hope you've enjoyed this program on writing techniques. If you'd like more information, please visit my website, betterstorytelling.net, or visit my blog, betterstorytelling.net/blog. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.